Barely see you, but I do know you're out there. I can
Shift down a little bit.
I can't. He needs it back there for the camera.
I see.
There you go. It's all about stage presence. So bringing it. So I hope everybody had an opportunity to enjoy some of this beautiful weather this week. We've been needing it, and it lifted my spirits, so I hope it did the same for you. We just need a lot of that rain. So today, our topic for this service is going to be on practicing radical empathy. So think about that for a little bit. We're going to start with our prelude, which is one of our favorite musicians. His name is Chris Rea. He's an old rocker, been around forever, and a lot of people have just never heard of him. But he is an incredible artist. So without further ado, we're going to play Set Me Free by Chris Rea.
Wake up, see the morning light. This is you, this is today. We try so hard to get it right. Can't help thinking somewhere you lost your way. When was the last time you saw his smile? There's a scream on every side of the face you see. They're saying, set me free.
That's actually a minute and a half of a 6-minute long song. We just didn't want to force you to sit through 6 minutes if you weren't enjoying it. We'd like to leave you wanting more. They're going, what in the world? So, that is Chris Rea. Now for our moment of centering, we brought one of our favorite toys today, the Mother Gong. So if you would take a moment and just center yourself, be comfortable in your chair, feet on the floor, backs up nice and tall, and really take a moment to feel your body. Just allow your body to relax. We're going to start, this is going to be a 3 intonement, just so you're prepared. And that doesn't ground you, I don't know what else might. But it's worth exploring. Jim, would you mind lighting the chalice for us this morning? Please. May the light we now kindle inspire us to use our powers, to heal and not to harm, to help and not to hinder, to bless and not to curse, to serve you, Spirit of freedom. You want to do the second? We're going to do another song before we do our candles, because I think it helps to set the mood for thinking about empathy and how we bring forth our empathy, and who might need our empathy. Another of our favorite artists, Mark Wells, Don't Laugh at Me.
I'm a little boy with glasses, one they call me. A little girl who never smiles, 'cause I've got braces on my teeth. And I know how it feels to cry myself to sleep. I'm that kid on every playground who's always chosen last, a single teenage mother trying to overcome my past. You don't have to be my friend. Is it too much to ask? Don't laugh at me. Don't call me names. Don't get your pleasure from my pain. In God's eyes, we're all the same. Someday we'll all have perfect wings. Don't laugh at me. I'm the triple on the corner. You pass me on the street, and I wouldn't be out here begging if I had enough to eat. And don't think I don't notice that our eyes never meet. I lost my wife and a little boy. Someone crossed that yellow line. The day we laid them in the ground is the day I lost my mind. And right now I'm down to hold this little cardboard sign. So don't laugh at me. Don't call me names. Don't get your pleasure from my pain. In God's eyes, we're all the same. Someday we'll all have perfect wings. Don't laugh at me. I'm fat, I'm thin, I'm short, I'm tall, I'm deaf, I'm blind, can't be more. Don't laugh at me, don't call me names, don't get your pleasure from my pain. In God's eyes, we're all the same. Someday we'll all have perfect wings. Don't laugh at me.
And now, without further ado, we're going to have a little live music. If everybody would take your hymnal and turn to 118 and stand as you're able. We're going to get some joy up in here.
Back to Sunday school.
That's right. Because inside we are all.
I'm
Thank you all. That energy was amazing. You guys are very good. Very good. Matt, could I press you into doing the offering at this point? And the fish cup and the faux flower on the
Not a very creative song. His name is Larry. You didn't know that, did you? His name is Larry.
The horse.
Thank you all for these blessings that will go to good works, no doubt. So I should have forewarned you that this was going to start out a little dark, but I guess you probably figured that out by now. Because we're surrounded by a lot of dark right now, and we're all feeling it. No matter, we try not to politicize from the pulpit, but there are some things you cannot ignore from a social justice point of view. And there's a lot of dark right now that we are being faced with, that we all feel. Because we're all feeling creatures. And even if we're not paying, if we try to shut it off, and I advise you to do that frequently, it's still there. It dissipates a little bit, but it comes back. And so, I'm an empath, so is Ira. In your brochure, there's a little description. Mary Alice, would you read that description of sympathy versus empathy, please?
Essentially, sympathy is feeling for someone, while empathy is feeling with someone.
And so, thank you, Mary Alice. Most of us have empathy, and we do feel with people. Whether we are engaging and trying to do that or not, you can walk, if you're empathetic, you can walk into a room and you can just feel the energy around you. It's either uplifting or not. And so we are surrounded by a lot of energy that we're all absorbing as empaths. And so today we're going to talk about how to release that energy and come back to our center, which is about hope and joy and all the childlike things that we were put here to really experience, in my opinion. So I'm going to read, which I don't normally do, but this was too much for me to just speak from. So I'm going to read this, and in case you're wondering, this is my mom. This is where I got my backbone. And ooh, Mom, you came apart there. Always making an entrance. Seriously. And I didn't realize it last week when we did service that we were bringing pictures of mothers, so I didn't bring my mother's picture, and I've been paying for it all week. So today, Mom is here with us. And Mom is my backbone. That's where I got that part of my spirit. So when I sat down to do this service, I'm open for inspiration. So this is titled Looking for Inspiration. I am devoid of inspiration. The energy of the moment is overwhelming at times, and I'm not finding the bright spot of illumination in this darkness. As I write these words, I am acutely aware of the stabbing pain at the base of my skull the moment I pick up my pen. No doubt I need to clear my mind, cleanse my energy, ground myself, and ask for guidance. It's a difficult time to focus right now, and I find myself sinking into despair at moments. When everything seems upside down, inside out, and full of darkness, how do we keep our groundedness and our spirit intact? Where is our moral compass? Where is the compassion that seems to be spinning out of control like a top? Your empathy is overwhelmed to the point of shutting down. How do you find your way back to the light? This moment in time calls all of us to our higher angels and our higher angels to us. Each of us has a unique spiritual identity. I'm a spiritualist and a mystic. So my belief system is that spirit and matter are separate things, and that spirit goes on infinitely, and matter may also, but in a different format. And as a mystic, I am constantly striving for that individual relationship with the higher power, that unique experience of knowing that you have been touched by that spiritual depth. And so that is my definition of how I see my spiritual nature. But we all have our own unique fingerprint when it comes to that. What I believe is different than what Fred believes, what Lee believes, what Mac believes. And the beauty of it is that we bring all of those spiritual identities together to create a stronger energy and a strong mission of driven by compassion, love, acceptance, equity. All of the good stuff is here in this room right now. And so when we call our higher angels to us in my spirit world, they will lift you up. They'll be your backbone. And so what we're called to at the moment is very dark, and it needs all of us to pay attention and to lift our spirits. But how do we do that? So, without further ado, we are going to hear a song in the middle of my, if you two are ready for Imagine.
Oh, sure.
Because this is where the tide is going to turn. Okay, so we had to go into the darkness to acknowledge and address it. And now we're going to lift our spirits back up into the light where our spirits belong and where our power exists. So, without further ado, what were you guys calling yourself?
No.
I said we're just old farts. We're not stinky, we're just old farts.
Go ahead, Dale.
Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. No hell no religion too. Imagine all the people living for today. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world is one. Imagine no possessions. I wonder if you can. No need for greed or hunger. A brotherhood of man. Imagine all the people living for today. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world is one.
Thank you. That was beautiful. Okay, so let's now talk about the brighter side. Getting off the roller coaster of chaos, right? So practicing radical empathy is how you get off the roller coaster of chaos. I mean, we're all familiar with like attracts like, birds of a feather flock together, that kind of thing. So in order to build more empathy, more energy, more positivity, this is how you do that. You come together as a community, and you feel together as a community. And I see you. We're all energetic beings full of empathy. And what you're witnessing right now is me feeling you. And so I want to enforce and suggest that you all have that capability. And when you're feeling overwhelmed, tears are the right response. If you're feeling detached and something is horrific and you're not feeling it, that's a sign you need to get grounded with yourself, with your higher power. And you need to say, I should be feeling this. I should be feeling bad. I should be sensing the horror of what's happening around me. And then have that moment of expressing it. And then we're going to flip the switch. Instead of thinking something bad is going to happen to me, flip that script and just say, I am going to happen to something bad. And do you see the difference in those two things?
Yes.
Right now, it feels like we're poised on the edge of a new world. We're experiencing birthing pains. And so all of the old school societal norms that we had grown up with, it feels like those are all being ripped away. And we're rended. We can't rely on anything that we used to believe to be a truth moving forward forever. Those things all seem to be just spinning in the air. And so at a moment in time, you have to say to yourself, let's stop this roller coaster ride. I'm getting off of this. And if that means you take a break, you put away your phone, you turn the TV off, you go out in nature and you take a walk, you call a girlfriend and say, hey, I'm having a really hard time, can you talk me through this? Whatever it is you need to do, reach out to people. Don't sit in your suffering, because like attracts like. So the more you sit in your suffering, the more suffering you're going to experience. And I'm not saying avoid the suffering. I'm saying deal with the suffering. And then find what small step you can make that makes a difference in someone else's life. You will never know. The simple thing of a smile to a stranger in a store can change their life. And it can be that simple. So I'm encouraging you not to ever feel like there's nothing I can do. There is, as long as you have breath in your lungs, there is something you can do. And so flip that script. You are going to happen to something bad. Okay? And if that's going to be our motto for today, just own that. I am going to happen to something bad. Get ready. So we talked a little bit about our better angels. And I'm a firm believer that they're always around us. They're here right now. And I mean, I can feel them. I call to them for support when I'm feeling overwhelmed with emotion. I don't know if any of you follow Jonathan Pavlitz, but he's a Jewish rabbi, and he writes a beautiful column. But he said recently, the greatest defense we have in not becoming casualties of this trending cruelty is by inoculating ourselves with collective empathy. Inoculating ourselves with collective empathy. That's what we're all doing here today. And so I would encourage as many gatherings, as many people that you find your support in, keep those people close to you and keep expressing what you're feeling. When you're working with empathy, you're reaching down to help someone up. You are not punching down to win the fight. And that's an important distinction as we move into this talk a little bit. Because what you're doing, you're here to lift people up in empathy. If you want to solve a problem, illuminate it, discuss it, and lift it up. Because that collective power of empathy is undeniable and undefeatable. And that's something that we all need to really own. I think the collective power of empathy is that boundary that tyranny cannot cross. It can try, and it will try, but tyranny wins when you fear what it's about. And the more you fear, the more energy it has. So that's where we're going to start taking our power back and saying no more. No more. Honey, do you want to do the reading? Page 579. You'll read the bold, and if you would do the italicized.
Sure. All set? All right, here we go. 579. Those who profess to favor freedom and yet depreciate agitation are people who want crops without plowing up the ground.
They want rain without thunder and lightning. They want the ocean without the awful roar of its waters.
This struggle may be a moral one, or it may be both moral and physical, but it must be a struggle.
Power conceives nothing without a demand. It never did, and it never will.
Find out what people will submit to, and you will have found out what the exact amount of injustice which will be imposed upon them.
The limits of tyrants are prescribed by the endurance of those whom they oppress.
Frederick Douglass, thank you all.
Wow. I heard a wow. I think that set with somebody. I mean, so what he's saying here is what we've been talking about. Tyranny can only exist if you're compliant. And at a certain point, the number of people who are non-compliant will change it. So that's a very important thing that we need to all focus on and keep in mind. But let's talk about empathy for a minute, because that's really what this whole thing is about. Sort of like when we did our thing on kindness. You know, it's easy to be kind to people you like. It's harder to be kind to people that you're like, shh, right? Well, empathy is the same way. It's easy to empathize with somebody that, you know, you have a loving relationship with, and you can feel their pain and be there with them and sit there with them. It's harder to feel empathy for people you don't like. And that's a judgment, and we're all human, and we all judge every day, all day long, whether we want to or not. So, empathy, for those that you are in a struggle with, whether you are in a personal struggle or it's an energetic struggle that you're sensing through the news or whatever, those are the people that need your empathy the most. Those are the people that need to be lifted up. Those are the people that you need to reach down for and pull up. And how do you do that? Well, you start by thinking about them in that manner. And the very first thing that I do when I encounter a situation or an individual that is rubbing me the wrong way, you get that feeling, right? The very first thing I do is literally inhabit them emotionally, mentally, and think about what could have happened in this person's life that made them this way. And then I start to, just like that video where don't laugh at me, then you start to realize there are reasons they behave that way. Maybe they were abused as a child, neglected, not given good guidance from the get-go, have suffered immeasurable pain, and this is the only way they know how to express it because they can't allow themselves to be vulnerable. Maybe they're so devoid and disconnected from their spirit that they're really walking numb. And those are the people that need your empathy more than the people that you love. That's easy to be empathetic with them. But to reach beyond that and say, I will not become like that individual who I dislike so much. I can now see that individual as that harmed soul, as that person who is doing the best they can with what they have because they're so empty inside that they're taking it out on everyone else. So if you can empathize with those people that you don't have an affinity for, you will start to see an energetic change in the relationship, especially if it's someone you're working with personally. If it's more of like out there in the stratosphere, you know, I'm not a theologian? Yeah, whatever, you know, I'm not one of those. And so I can't quote a lot of Bible verses and, you know, this prayer and that prayer and the other prayer. But I do believe in speaking to the higher power. And some people refer to that as prayer. Some people think of it as meditation. Some people think of it as just I'm talking in my head to myself. But I do believe there is power in that. And that sending that energy to that soul that needs the healing, that is bringing you to this point. Because this is how I see what's happening. And again, this is my personal opinion. It doesn't have to apply to anybody else, but this is how I get through the day. I see this world being turned upside down, which is also the opportunity for a new birth. And what that means is, obviously, we didn't get where we are because what was working. Obviously, it wasn't working because here we are. So if this means that we're going through this rending, which is almost like labor pains, let's build the world that we want to see, not the one we don't want to see. So if we're working more toward the social justice issues, and the empathy, and the hope, and the kindness, that will spread. But we all need to be very conscious of making our effort to make that happen, and not just being overwhelmed with the energy of the negative that's happening right now. Because that is the point of the negativity that's happening right now. It is trying to overwhelm us so that we give up in exhaustion. So take those breaks when you need those breaks. Walk away from it. When you're broken and you're like, I can't deal with any more of this, listen to yourself. Get out in the woods, take a walk, read a good book, Find a girlfriend and go have a good laugh, have a cup of tea. Do something other than just sit with it, because the more you sit with it, the more it will attract that same negative energy. So that is how I do battle with the overwhelming of the darkness and the negative. Practicing radical empathy. Think about that individual that's really plucking your last nerve and say, I'm going to make room in my heart space to try to understand that person and to send that person that healing energy that they obviously need. So, otherwise, and this is kind of hard for me to describe. Okay, so I'll just use simplified terms. Hate. If someone is hateful, and you hate back on them, I hate that person, I hate what they're doing, I hate. You're exactly the same thing they are, you're just the opposite side of that same coin. So, in order to get past that, you have to say, I dislike what's happening, I dislike the way that person is handling something, I dislike what's going on, but don't jump down into that muck and that mire. On the front of your program, there is a beautiful visual of reaching down to help someone who is stuck in the muck and the mire. And helping them, pulling them up out of it. And sometimes all you can do is just be there and be prayerful. And there's no conversation that can take place because there's no commonality. There's no bridge to cross at that point. But you can still, in your own quietude, send that energy to them. And so that's really the radical empathy that I'm talking about. So I'm encouraging everybody to practice radical empathy and share your stories of radical empathy here so that we can all see the healing that's taking place, not just the negative of what's happening, but the healing that we're all going to experience with each other, because that's what we're here for. So I think that concludes our service today. Before we extinguish the chalice, are there any announcements that you'd like to make? Anybody? Announcements?
Just an observation. Look how much light was produced by us sharing, even dark things.
Yeah.
When we share it, they're brought to light, and then we can move on and do things.
That's right.
There's a sermon in that for you another time.
I have inspiration! So I think we're going to close out this. And I just want to point this out. This next video, we picked this, like, what, 2 weeks ago? 3 weeks ago? When we were putting the service together. And it had nothing to do with the recent happenings with Bruce Springsteen. So that's just a little bit of light that we can all share in. So if you'd like, we're going to extinguish the chalice. You can sit and watch it if you want to, or you are free to mill about, enjoy each other's company, have a cup of coffee.
We want to thank everybody for tuning in today. If you'd like to show your support, please hit the like button, subscribe to our channel if you're not already subscribed, and help us out by sharing this message by clicking the share button. If you'd like to make a monetary donation to you, Church Holton, there is a link to our online donations in the video description down below. And again, thank you so much and have a blessed day.